like to say I like to put them in and take them out.
Iconic civil rights activist Dolores Huerta has her sights set on a 2022 midterms, what she would like to see and why she compares farming in the Central Valley as the modern-day Jim Crow era.
President Biden failed to recognize the severity of the situation.
The conflict between Israel and Hamas spilling into the streets of North Fresno. The war in the Gaza Strip having a profound impact here in the valley. New exclusive insight to the ceasefire agreement and how a decision by the Trump administration triggered this deadly battle. Local Druze leader and former presidential advisor on the Middle East, Sheikh Marwan Kamul Abu Hamzi, will join me. And our panel ready to weigh in on a number of controversial topics this week, from naming a new school in Fresno to Governor Newsom pushing back against the CDC's new mask guidelines. Welcome to Sunday. It's KC24, Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from your local election headquarters, KC24, this is Sunday Morning Matters with your host, Alexan Balakian.
And good Sunday morning to you. I'm Alexan Balakian. Thanks for joining us, and please join the conversation on Twitter or Facebook at Real Alexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, my exclusive with Fresno State's new university president. But first, Governor Newsom not ready to unmask California.
So it's in no way saying that the science or the direction by the CDC is wrong or there's a challenge to it. It's really just giving ourselves across the state some additional time.
Not the governor, rather the state's top health officer, Dr. Mark Galley, making the announcement on Monday. The state will remain in the mask mandate until June 15th. California is now one of only 3 states in the country that are still under a mask mandate. Now, shockingly enough, the governor getting blasted by his own former chief of staff, Ann O'Leary. But she criticized Newsom for not maintaining stricter guidance. Check out this tweet here. Quote, so disappointing that California isn't going to remain stronger than the floor set by the CDC. I'd require communities to meet the metrics, 70% of population fully vaccinated, everyone able to get vaccinated, and proof of vaccination in indoor public settings. End quote. Meantime, some parents here in Fresno rallying to unmask their kids at school.
If Gavin Newsom can have his children in a private school without masks, our children can be in school without a mask. It's not fair. It's about control. It's about power. And it's time for us to take our power back as parents and stand up for our children. We're done.
That from a group called Informed Parents of California. So the great mask debate continues in the state of California. Let's bring in our panel to discuss. Fresno Unified Board Trustee Keisha Thomas is with us, and Fresno City Councilman Gary Bredefeld. Welcome both to Sunday Morning Matters. So let's start with California maintaining the mask mandate. Gary, I'll start with you. Governor Newsom has been citing the data and science for the last 14, 15 months now. The CDC offering new guidance, as you know, the governor balks. Is he right by doing this to make sure more people are getting vaccinated?
No, he's completely wrong, as he's been for much of the pandemic. This is a guy who's an authoritarian. He's a tyrannical dictator. It's not based on any science. Much of the country has been free of these mask mandates. Texas has, Florida has. They've done well. They've done better than California. There's no reason for these people to be mandated to wear masks. The science doesn't bear that out. This is just about power. It's about control. And he picks an arbitrary day, June 15th, as though COVID's gone June 15th. Look, people haven't really even been listening to this nonsense anymore. They're not wearing masks unless they're required to go into a store. There is no scientific reason for him to do this other than he's just into his power and control. It's been a disaster.
Keisha, I want to bring you in, and I remember the last time we both had you on and you shared a very emotional moment talking about your parents, obviously, and you know, when you hear that we want more people vaccinated, we don't want to give up on it yet, but you see other states like Texas now banning masks altogether. What do you make of it?
I'm going to keep wearing my mask until June 15th, and I'm going to probably wear it after that. You know, many countries, they wear masks and they don't have the big issues that we have. And I don't really care what other people are doing. All I care about is my state and my city and making sure that our numbers continue to go down.
All right, I want to get to the kids at school now, and these are some numbers. Keisha, full disclosure, you shared some of these numbers with me. In January, there were 75 COVID cases, staff and students. February, there was 40. March, there was 23 cases of students and staff, of course. April 6th was when there was more of a hybrid and optional going back to school time. So we don't have those numbers. But should students ditch the mask now, or does it make more sense to do it in the fall when they get back to school?
I think we should wait until fall. Let's just make sure that we're all safe, because some kids will not get the vaccination. So we just want to make sure we're all safe.
Gary, your thoughts on this? I know you've been touting some pediatrician stats over the time during the pandemic. You hear the numbers, there's still cases happening with students and staff at school without even having all the kids there.
The masks need to come off of kids. Pediatricians say it. The kids are generally safe. They're not super spreaders. Are there kids that get it? Yes, they do. But the kids that get the flu every year, too, we didn't mask them up. Kids need to be back in school. They need to be back in school full time, and they need to be free of the tyrannical policies where they mask kids up. They mask kids up.
No.
It's unhealthy. It's not
had
healthy
cases
for
with
schools.
kindergartners. They should not have to worry about these kinds of things. Kindergartners can't deal with that kind of pain that COVID gives you. I've had little kids in my family have it too, so I totally disagree. Sorry.
Kindergartners cannot be masked up.
Let me ask this. I know you guys, hold on real quick. I know you guys are disagreeing on the mask situation, but what we have not heard, Clovis Unified, they're one of the first in the Valley to say, hey, we're going to ditch the distance learning in the fall. Everybody's coming back. Fresno Unified, again, has not made that decision. The FTA has really kind of pushed back on full coming back to school in the fall. Keisha, does it need to go back to school in full in the fall?
I believe it does, but I'm just one vote. But I believe that it does need to go back full force in the fall. It's time for us to go back to school. It's time to get back to some kinds of normalcy for our kids, and our parents. We're all losing in this.
All right. Obviously, Gary, I'm sure you want that now.
I wanted that 8 months ago, just like they did in Florida and Texas, and all the kids have been back. And as your opening was, Governor Newsom, his kids have been in school the whole time. The superintendent, Bob Nelson's, his kids are in another school. Bob Nelson's is in another public school. So their kids go to school, but they lock down everybody else.
All right, let's move on to this, a very controversial topic, as you guys know. And Keisha, you and your trustees, you went into closed-door session on this, still negotiating a $3,200 payment. Again, this has sparked a lot of controversy throughout the district. We know Clovis Unified gave their teachers and staff $4,000 extra during the pandemic. They're not union. The FTA says they want this money. But should the money go to the students to make up for learning loss, or do the teachers and the staff who reinvented their lesson plans into virtual lesson plans deserve it? Keisha.
I can't talk about that yet. So I'm going to leave that there because they're still negotiating. So I by no means want to sway what needs to happen. So I'm going to sit that one out, Alexon. I'm sorry.
All right, Gary, your thoughts on this? You know, it's a hot button issue. You know, as we know, grocery store clerks, we know, many jobs that have been going on during the pandemic, no bonuses there. Of course, we've had the money and the stimulus come in, but no extra money.
Look, the bottom line is that I love teachers. I'm married to one, been for 37 years. The fact is, though, teachers have needed to be back in the classroom teaching. That's the bottom line.
But
and
the
these
payment.
Have all been efforts by Governor Newsom, and early on, 2 months ago, was to bribe the unions and the teachers that still didn't put them back.
But what about the payment? The $3,200, the FTA says they want it. You heard Keisha, she can't talk about it, obviously.
And I'll tell you my feeling. I don't care what the FTA says or their leadership. For me, if I was on the school board, I would have told them, you get your teachers back in the schoolroom, in the classroom, then we'll talk about things. But nobody's bribing you to get back in. It hasn't worked. They need to go back in.
Okay, I get that part. Can I just get an answer on the $3,200 payment?
Should
the money go to them or go to somehow make up for learning loss?
Learning loss. They should be back in the classroom. That's where the money should go. Get in the classroom.
All right, Keisha, any last word there?
No, I always tell Gary to walk a mile in people's shoes before he starts to mouth off. But, I'm going to let him slide today because I should be quiet about this, but we'll come back and talk about it later.
He really agrees with me.
All right, so guess what? Don't untie anybody's shoes just yet. We have a lot to come. But next, iconic civil rights leader Dolores Huerta is out to change the political landscape here in the Central Valley. Why she says it's time for Jim Costa to be ousted, and why she compares some farms here in the valley to the Jim Crow era in the South.